Stop the insanity. Get focused on what really matters in life. Your faith, your family, your finances, and your future. Now sit back and change the trajectory of your life. This is Money for Life, brought to you by the 100-Year Savings Solution. Are you concerned about the markets? Stop taking unnecessary risks with your money while also getting great benefits. Visit us at 100yearsavings.com. Now, let's welcome your Money for Life hosts, Teresa Kuhn and Rick Sapio.
Hi, everyone. This is Teresa Kuhn with Money for Life and my partner, Rick Sapio. We are here to help you improve your life in the 4 areas: faith, family, finances, and your future self. And today we're going to talk about investing and taking risk that you probably shouldn't take. Rick and I are very passionate about this. We live with this topic every single day in our work with, well, for me, in my work with clients in our firm and different advisors. And Rick, because he has been investing for over 30 years, he's got colleagues and he's got partners in his investments and he's got shareholders. And this topic comes up every day, actually, for both of us. And before you think this topic doesn't apply to you because you're a great investor, I want to suggest to you to talk to your CPA. It's tax time, tax season. Just give them a call and say, hey, just curious, how many of your clients actually make money in their investments over time? And I think his or her answer is going to shock you. Most CPAs are going to say, if they're truthful, most of my clients do not make money with investments. So Rick, why is an investor who actually makes a return year in and year out so rare in this world? And why do we talk about the barbell strategy and we talk about safe money investing when there seems to be so many people making so much money in all these really interesting and cool investments?
Well, the fact of the matter is a very small percentage of people make money on investments. That's a fact. You can look at the Dalbar study, which has been coming out for decades now. And most investors don't even make a 0% return over the long haul. In fact, they lose money net on investing. And some of them take a tremendous amount of time out of their lives dealing with investments, which is kind of weird. I think the problem is human nature. Human nature will not allow us to tell the truth for whatever reason when it comes to money because of pride, ego, envy, who knows why. And what I found is that very small percentage of the population, maybe 20%, they've realized that they're not going to let their human nature hijack another thing, which is common sense. They've looked at the stats. They understand how poor people are. And I got to tell you, the thing that boggles my mind is I talked to my CPA today and I said, why do you allow people to lose money as much as they do? And he goes, oh, everybody loses money. It's crazy. But my job is to just do their taxes. And I'm like, don't you want to grab them by the throat and say, hey, what are you doing? Put your money in a very conservative, long-term oriented product that's had 100 years of history through pandemics and everything else. And he goes, yeah, just not my job. And that's akin to someone going to a doctor and, the doctor says, well, the patient has cancer, but not my job to recommend the solution. And not my job is really crazy. I think what my CPA was telling me today was really, I've tried, but people are just completely dishonest. And I've seen it in my firm. People have absolutely no ability to tell you what their return was average over the last 15 years. They just can't do that. And so they just remember their winners. And the reality is, if they would just take the common sense train and put all their safe money in something that earns 3% tax advantaged, and then put the rest of their money in things that they know a lot about, that is part of their career or their expertise, instead of throwing spaghetti at the wall, which is what most people do.
So Rick, 3% tax advantaged? Oh my gosh, you've got to be joking. One can make so much more in the stock market or with real estate investing or other investments. Are you kidding me?
Here's the bizarre thing about that, and you could Google this. Fidelity Magellan, when it was run by Peter Lynch, arguably the greatest mutual fund manager in the history of the world. I believe in the 13 years that he managed that fund, the fund was up 29% per year. So if you put $1 in there, 13 years later, you would have got 29% every single year on average. But human nature causes people to buy when it was high and sell on dips when the market went down. And so what Fidelity realized is they studied investor behavior and found out that even though the mutual fund was up 29% a year, the average investor in that fund made zero, because they bought high and sold low instead of buying low and selling high. And it's really quite crazy. And people are listening to this and they're saying what you would say, Teresa, well, that's not me. That's not me. And that, again, is human nature. So we have to have, in my opinion, the ability to overcome human nature. Because I come from such a massive family, I've seen human nature make us do really dumb things, like marry someone that you fall in love with. And I've seen it. People, they meet, they fall in love, they move in together, they get married, they have kids, and then they realize, holy crap, yeah, there was love at the beginning, but we're not compatible. We don't like the same things. We don't value the same things. We don't appreciate living in the same area. We have completely incompatible careers. I want out. But you can't easily overcome human nature. Overcoming human nature with marriage would be something like evaluating what you really want in a mate in a long-term marriage, writing a list of the perfect values of your mate, writing a list of the likes and dislikes and the characteristics and all of that stuff, maybe writing a list of religious preferences and do they like having dinner at home, etc. And I did that. And I almost succumbed to human nature. I almost got married young, but I am so happy that at the age of 43, I met my wife and we have a great marriage. Why? Because I took the time to overcome human nature. I made a list of the perfect attributes of someone that I would want to spend the rest of my life with, and I waited until I found that person. And investing is a lot like that. You have to overcome human nature. And unfortunately, Teresa, and you've seen it too, only a very small percentage of the population is willing to put their ego and their pride and envy and all that crap aside and say, I realize that I'm not an expert in this. All right, everyone. And now this is a message from our sponsor, the 100-Year Savings Solution. Teresa and I do these podcasts because we are very committed to you having wealth in your life. And that wealth is long-term wealth. And how do you get wealth? You get wealth by employing the barbell investment strategy, in which you focus on creating a foundation of wealth using specially designed whole life insurance from a mutually owned insurance company. And you're going to get higher returns with far less risk. I call it risk-free, but it's far less risk than you can get anywhere else in the world. And once you have that financial foundation set up, the rest of your wealth creation is almost automatic. Go to www.100yearsavings.com. Why do you think people can't get around their brains that they're horrible investors?
Well, I think there's so many things that come into this whole conversation. I think people look and have heard stories of the winners, right? People making a ton of money when it comes to an investment, either in real estate or in stocks or bonds or whatever. And we always think we're going to be the exception. We're not going to be the 90% that loses money. We're going to be the 10% that wins. Let's just take 401k investing. Rick, you're in this business. Your holding company owns a mutual fund company. How many investors really understand the options that they have in their 401k plan with their employer? How many people really understand the fees and how their 401k plan works?
Very few. And the thing on 401ks that should be criminal is the number of people I've seen that keep their money, a massive percentage of their 401k in their own company stock. And you tell them diversify, diversify, diversify inside your 401k, because it's not when or if, it always happens. Eventually, something bad is going to happen and that stock is going to drop like a rock. And then after something happens, they're like, damn, I should have diversified. But again, we don't have the ability to overcome human nature until we recognize human nature. I was having lunch with a friend today, and he inherited a family farm. And the family farm is worth a lot of money. I'm going to say $3 or $4 million. And I said, of course you're going to sell that. And he goes, well, why would I sell it? I'm like, because real estate prices are through the moon, because the family farm is a 24-hour drive from here and you don't have time to go there, because it's probably not going to keep going up in value. And then he said, what's really incredible, he said, yeah, but I'm emotionally attached to it. And the things we do for reasons that are, again, human nature as opposed to common sense, that's something that we all should recognize.
Rick, I happen to know the person you're speaking of, and he is a brilliant investor. He's a super smart, super analytical guy. He's been in investing his whole life. And it's fascinating that he says he's emotionally attached to it. Isn't that interesting? Even the smartest of us can't get past our emotions when it comes to investing. And I brought up the 401k because there is so much information around 401ks today. I mean, if you Google 401ks and how to get the most out of your 401k plan with your employer, if you go to the trustee of your 401k, it could be Fidelity or it could be Charles Schwab or it could be any number of trustees. They've got a customer service rep. They can walk you through your program. They can give you the rules. They can tell you all about the different investments. And 90% of the people out there don't understand their 401k plan. What kind of investors do you think those same people who don't get their 401k plan are when it comes to real estate investing? You know, everybody thinks that they can make money in real estate. And just the subject, the investment asset of real estate is huge. Let's say you decided to become a really good investor with one niche, one specific type of market, apartment building investing, or flipping homes, or single family, long-term holds, or commercial real estate. Do you know how many hundreds of hours it takes to understand a market, understand it local, choose your property, choose your vendors, understand tax implications? We're talking hundreds, if not thousands of hours. And the average person either works a full-time job, has a business, has family, has to take care of themselves from a health perspective, socializing. What time and energy do they have to really master investing? And something that as a niche can be quite complex. That's why going back to your CPA and asking him or her, hey, how many real estate investors are actually making money? How many people are you really seeing make money in real estate or in stock market or mutual fund investing or options? It's eye-opening, the response that you get.
And it goes back to human nature. I've seen it happen in the last 2 years where people are making all kinds of money. And what happens is they're riding an investment for too long in some cases. It's the wrong investment. They rode it too long. So now they can take money off the table, but they wait until a real negative event happens. And that negative event happens, it drops like a rock, and then they sell it because people don't have, again, human nature, the ability to ride out negatives. That's something we all have to realize. I hope that small percentage of you that is getting this, you really understand that I'm talking to you, that realize that you're never going to beat human nature. So the only thing you can do is go the other way, and that's common sense. And common sense told me, which is why I bought 11 policies from you, that I'm much better off taking half my money, putting in very safe investments that are guaranteed by a 100-year-old insurance company that's never missed a payment, and taking the rest of my money and putting it in areas that I have immense expertise around. And that's what I've done. And that's the barbell strategy in a nutshell, which we've done a podcast on. But you've got to check the box that from now on, I understand that I have human nature causing me to make decisions that are counter to my best interest. I'm going to now resort to common sense. And that's a really hard thing.
So, Rick, you said something super important. You said it allows you to invest in areas that you have immense expertise. You have a very deep understanding of how to navigate the investments that you're in. I want to ask you something. Do the whole life policies make you even a better investor in those areas where you say you have immense expertise in?
Yeah, because I've bifurcated my portfolio. Half of my money is in very safe, tax-advantaged investments in whole life insurance with mutually owned insurance companies, which means that as a shareholder of that company, I get a dividend on top of the return. And because of that safety net, it enables me to have more confidence with the risk money that I have. Because I know even if it went to hell in a handbasket, I've got the safety net over here. But it's not going to play out that way because I invest in areas that I have a lot of knowledge, and it hasn't in those areas. Now, here's where I get caught. And I've done this over the years too, is I will invest in an area I know nothing about. And most of the time it's a disaster. And that's why I'm able to tell you what to do at times like now. They say experience is learning from your mistakes, but wisdom is learning from other people's mistakes. So you and I have been there, done that, and made a lot of these mistakes too. But now in our late 50s, we decided to cut the crap. And that's one of the reasons why we've embraced this product, the 100-year savings solution. I do want to add something that you encounter these people that have made a lot of money on something, whether they sold a business or they got lucky on investment or they hit the lottery. There's a saying I've been hearing since I was a little kid: the bigger they are, the harder they fall. And it just seems like the people that are riding the biggest horse seem to fall off their horses much more often and much sooner today. I'm not sure why that is. I think that, again, it's human nature and it's ego and it's all of that. But just remember that if you're listening, you probably have some net worth. Take this on. Realize that you probably don't know much about some of the investments that you're in. Take that money and invest it wisely and safely in a product that Teresa has been one of the top salespeople in the country over the last 2 decades. That's, in my opinion, that's wisdom, and that's overcoming human nature.
So Rick, great topic. It's very near and dear to both our hearts, and we work with this every single day. We invite you to check out the 100-Year Savings Solution at 100yearsavings.com. This is the brand that Rick and I decided to put out into the world to simplify this concept and to simplify the process of someone getting involved. We are here to help you, to serve you. We put our money where our mouth is. Check it out, 100yearsavings.com. And this is Teresa Kuhn signing off from Money for Life.
You have just experienced the Money for Life podcast, brought to you by the 100-Year Savings Solution. Implement these strategies today and create a life by design. For more information, visit 100yearsavings.com. Have a blessed day.